Okay. Alright, so I'm curious, you know, to see what you guys think. How you would rank, you know, the world bosses in Guild Wars 2. I've made sure to include all the core bosses, but I've also included, you know, a lot of the metas. Metas that lead up to a gigantic encounter. The bosses don't have to be gigantic themselves, but generally speaking, you know, a pretty hefty boss fight encounter. That's what I've included on this list. So I think we'll just start things off with Auric Basin. That's the one where you split the squads up, right? 3 lanes, and every lane has its own boss fight. Every boss needs to be put down at the same time, and then you reach the center of Tarir. I think it's pretty good. I have nothing to complain about it. I think the first time is very hilarious because you have no idea what's going on. There's like bosses, there's like the turtles. I'm gonna go with A tier because it doesn't really super stand out either. I think mechanically it's a very, you know, clean meta. Oh, okay, not always clean. Sometimes people will panic and mess it up. They'll F it up at the last moment. It's just 3, you know, Mordrum bosses, and that's about it. You go rush into the center and try to pick up every single chest there is inside Tarir. It's like playing Diablo, except it's not Diablo. Panic or picnic, I know. Coordination can be really spotty at times, exactly. So this meta hinges on pretty decent coordination. It's S tier because it requires 4 separate groups to work together. I thought it was 3. East, west... Oh, north and south! You're right, it is 4 lanes. Work together, and it's one of the few metas that drop an infusion. I'm not gonna, like, rank a world boss or a meta based off of their rewards. What I'm thinking of is, you know, both... just the experience. How is the experience overall? It can include the mechanics of the fight. It can include, you know, if it's badass or not. If it looks good or if it feels good. I think it's... A is still pretty good. I like it very much. Also think about this. Auric is one of the first to start the 4 lanes meta thing. Everything else followed. You're probably right. Auric Basin really is the first of its kind. Setting that precedent, I guess maybe I can push it up to S tier. Just because, you know, this was such a successful meta that they sort of taken it and made it evolve over time with the future metas. What about Amala? What about Warden Amala? Amala is the Sunspear Rebellion meta, right? It's the north part of the domain of Istan. The way you rank is that you find the middle benchmark and then you compare against that benchmark. Wait, what do you mean by that? You mean I find something that I consider, you know, B and then I go from there? I mean, then I would have to pick out, you know, which one is a B. B tier would be like average, right? Not great, not bad either. Probably the Adolescent Leviathan. I think the Adolescent Leviathan is nothing special. Is not great. You just go around, follow it, fight it underwater. You're supposed to be fighting it underwater. Yeah, there are no real mechanics except for being swallowed up by the Leviathan, but I don't think that's necessary. It feels like you can just smack it. I think, you know, it's interesting that you can summon it if you have a lot of people who fish. Back to Amala. Amala, though, Amala's really fun. I remember the mechanics being fun. She does jump around a lot. I don't know if that's annoying for melee class people. I've been playing a lot of ranged. I think it's great. I think this is A tier. I don't think it's super special awesome, but I had a lot of fun doing it. But I did it on my Mechanist, so I didn't have a lot of trouble. If you're a warrior, grab a rifle. Oh yeah! That's true. Melee, you should always have a ranged option. I forget this because I'm an elementalist, and as an elementalist, you can only have one set of weapons. During combat, I mean. I can't swap out. The Battle for Lion's Arch. Now, I'm also including large-scale public instances. The Battle for Lion's Arch does end up with like several boss fights anyway. You fight the Clockwork Triumvirate. That ends up being strike bosses too. This is a pretty solid fight. Still befuddles my mind that they decide to make those a strike, but not Scarlet. Yeah, I know, my trend, but still. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty, I especially like their mechanics. I think they're more mechanically complex than Amala, so I'm gonna put the Battle for Lion's Arch above Amala, even though they're on the same tier. I love that you can swap out their mechanic just by breaking their bar. I think that's so interesting and unique. That's probably the only time you ever see ArenaNet doing that. What about the Chad Garrett from Tangled Depths? If I remember right, you're just, again, it's 3 lanes, you're doing stuff in those 3 lanes, but they all end up with their own Chad Garretts that you fight. They all act the same way. I don't know. I don't think it's as good as Arc Basin. TD is 5? 5 lanes. Oh, alright, my bad. Garrett was more entertaining before power creep shortened it so much. That's gonna be like a lot of these world bosses. I'm pretty sure Shadow Behemoth used to be like the most interesting thing back in 2012. But now it's like, yeah. Yeah, the Chad Garrett's okay. I would put it in B. Claw of Jormag from... not Bitter Frost Frontier. Frostgorge Sound, thank you. Yeah, alright. So, based off of my first time with the Claw of Jormag, I thought that fight was so damn interesting. I loved it. Based off of my second time doing that fight, recently, a few days ago, now I'm like, well, y'all just sapped the fun out of this fight. When I found out that you can just stand in one spot and just smack the toes, and that's all you gotta do to take it down, that made me a little heartbroken. Damn power creep. Claw of Jormag is B tier only because it needs an update. Yeah, I do. I think so too. I think if done the legitimate way, this would have been an A tier world boss. Unfortunately, I think it's just a B tier fight. I'd say it's even less interesting than Leviathan now, because you can just stand in one spot. Standing around in one spot is worse than just swimming around. B right now, dies too fast, don't see mechanics anymore. Yep, exactly. You know what? Shadow Behemoth. Yeah, what do we think of Shadow Behemoth? I'm not putting it in D tier. I'm just putting it there for now. Placeholder. Shadow Behemoth, you just go up to it and you make sure the portals are down. After the portals are down, then you smack its mouth, right? It's a tank and spank. I don't think it's that bad, though. I think, as a new player's first experience of a world boss, I think it's pretty great. You don't expect that to see a world boss in the beginning zone. That normally doesn't happen with MMOs. If you play WoW or Final Fantasy, you have to wait until like level 50 to see a world boss. But no, in this one, you can see one as soon as you start the game. I think that's a pretty cool experience. I think with that alone, that should leave it, high up in B tier. Very high up in B tier. If not B tier, then maybe A-. Just on that premise. On the premise that it's, a first world boss, and you meet it pretty early on in the game. And that, gets a lot of people to stay in the game because of, whoa, that's pretty crazy. That's a crazy thing that's happening right now in the game. I want to keep playing this game. Shadow Behemoth is B for basic, also good presentation. I think so too. Update makes it. Yeah, The update certainly helps. Without the update, it would have melted too quickly. So that would have been a horrible, first experience with a world boss. I think it's pretty decent now. Yeah, I met this boss on the second day I was playing the game. It's nostalgic value. What about Triple Trouble? I recently just did Triple Trouble for the first time. I think it's pretty good. I think it's, out of all the core world bosses, it's the most complex one. It's at least an A. You need to see other mechanics though. That's true. Yeah, I've only experienced one of the worms. I haven't seen the other ones. So I don't know what they're like. Not only requires coordination, it does require some considerable coordination. Well, based off of my personal experience, I say it's an A+. Probably put it in between the Battle for Lion's Arch and Amala, just because the Clockwork Triumvirate was so good. I love the Clockwork Knights. If I were to do Triple Trouble several more times and experience the other worms, I might, change my mind. But for now, I feel like it's an A+. Yeah, and that's another thing. I love that Triple Trouble has you travel around across half of the map. I think that's pretty sweet. Taking advantage of... I love events, meta events, that try to take advantage as much of the map space as possible. The Svanir Shaman Chief. I don't even have to think about this one. I think it's C. It's not terrible. Not B? Really? You think it's B? I think it's an average as hell fight. Even with the update. All they did was beef him up. And he just, grunts, makes noises as you spank his butt. You smack him, charges in a straight line, you smack him, you just do that for, 10 straight minutes. Shaman Chief, B for me, but I get the C for veterans. It's a good fight for noobs, even without the Shadow Behemoth spectacle. I think that's why I don't put it in B, because Shadow Behemoth, has that spectacle. It makes you, look in awe. Whereas the Svanir...
I could outrun a centaur.
We're not even there yet. Whereas the Svanir Shaman Chief is just a small ice brood dude. He doesn't seem all that interesting, both aesthetically and mechanically. Jungle Worm. Jungle Worm, Jungle Worm, Jungle Worm. I mean, it's one of the first world bosses that you meet in the game, especially if you're a Sylvari player. This is from Caledon Forest, right? No world boss in Char... Yeah, there's no world boss in the Char area. What the hell is up with that? I think it's like low B or high C. I think probably low B, just because, it's technically a big boss. And if I were a new Sylvari player and I saw this giant worm sprouting out, then I would probably be in awe. For me, if I were to give a world boss a D, it would have to be horrible. It would have to piss me off. It would have to annoy me. Modnir Olgoth, D tier. Moving on.
I could outrun a centaur.
There you go. All right, so next up is Tida Covington. You think Covington sucks? What?
The pirate can also outrun a centaur.
D for door? B if the door didn't take an hour? That's fair. I understand now. It's the door. The door takes way too long. I think it's, at least a little more interesting than the Svanir Shaman Chief. Yeah, there's like half the fight is just you beating down the door. But the reason why I love this fight so much is because of the theme. Thematically, it's very interesting to me. Aesthetically, too. And then once you bust down the door, then you just go basically raiding the pirate house. The more and more I think about this, the more I realize that maybe you guys have a point. Maybe it's a C tier fight. All right, above Svanir Shaman Chief. That makes me sad. I love pirates. I don't think it's annoying. I do like that we run around, placing bombs, trying to bust down the door. But maybe they can nerf the health of the door. Oh, Tequatl. S or A? I love Tequatl. I don't know if it suffers from the same power creep problem that, you know, Claw of Jormag does. At least you don't have to, like, stay in one spot while the entire fight is taking place. Tequatl, I want to give it an A. I do, but he's broken and doesn't fight for 75% of the battle. Perma stun. It's a C. See, I've been told that a lot of the mechanics, the original mechanics from Tequatl, I missed out on because people burn through the fight very quickly. It needs an update. I agree. I think it's a good fight, but it suffers from, you know, power creep and all that jazz. Man, I would love to give this an S, you know, S tier, because it's such a spectacle. I love, you know, seeing a giant-ass dragon just flying around and grabbing onto the mountain like it's like a freaking spider, and it's just mocking us from a distance, and then it continues flying. That I don't see that in any other MMO. Oh, but yeah, here's the thing. I don't want to give it a C. I want to give it an A-. But at least Tequatl, you know, is fun to look at. Very fun to look at, even though you burn through half the mechanics. High B for you? Like, for me, it would be like either a high B or a low A. I'm gonna go with low A, though. Any more core boss? Oh, Mega Destroyer. See? There's nothing special about Mega Destroyer. It's a boring ass fight. The only reason for me that why I don't put it in D is because it's technically not annoying. It's not pissing me off. I don't hate it, but it is such an unremarkable fight. Fire Elemental, same, C. Even after the update. I may have missed it, but has VB done Gyala Delve on stream? I'm assuming that's the next map. No, I have not. I'm gonna do it on the 21st. Shatterer. I think Shatterer is really cool. Again, just like Tequatl, the fight is a spectacle. It's a giant ass crystal metal dragon thing. It looks like something that came out of Yu-Gi-Oh! And although mechanically it's not that interesting, really it's just like a bunch of shit that you have to avoid. You're running around while having to deal with lag and 12 FPS. Thematically, it's really a really strong fight, but mechanically, it's not super great. Shatter at least a B. Yeah, I'm thinking B. Well, at least with Tequatl, you have the cannons. You have the cannons, you have to set them up in order to shoot down Tequatl. Shatterer doesn't really have any of that. You literally just fight him on the ground, right? Unless I missed something. I would say high B. Like just below Tequatl. Shatter has cannons? Wait, it does? Jump pads for glider. We're talking about Shatterer from the core world, right? Not Death Branded Shatterer. Oh, I missed out. I did not know that. Okay, alright. I've only done the fight once. So clearly I did not do that mechanic. Alright, well, that sounds like it's literally the same as Tequatl then. Alright. Here, I'll put it on the same as Tequatl. Golem Mark II. I'm thinking C tier because it's almost annoying. It does, you know, it's throwing so much at you. And then there is this little spot that you can avoid all the mechanics, but you have to find that pixel, that exact pixel, in order to avoid it. I don't know if that's intentional. It probably isn't. I don't hate it, but if I can avoid it, I would. The animation, though, of the robot, you know, forming up, I think that's really cool. It might be a B once you get, you can see the electric floors in a few weeks. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that. A lot of this could change if I am able to see some of these mechanics. Yeah. But as it stands, I think it's a high C. What about Karka Queen? Karka, yeah. Karka Queen is in South Sun Cove. Nothing special. It's not great. Again, it's just a tank and spank. I would, you know, regard it as the same as the Fire Elemental and the Mega Destroyer. It doesn't do anything. Low C, yeah, I agree. Dies in 30 seconds. Zero mechanics, right. I don't think I've drank a butt. What? Oh, yeah, you're right. Tower, ooh. D tier. Above Monir, though. Better than Monir. But, like, it's legitimately a D tier. I hate this instance. It's not good. Way too much going on. You're just running around, you know, hoping to get to the end. I feel like I'm a rat in a maze when I'm doing Tower of Nightmares. It's awful. I don't want to ever do it again. Except I might have to if I want the old Lion's Arch portal scroll, don't I? I think thematically it's really cool. I mean, it's freaking Scarlet Briar. Scarlet Briar is one of the best villains in this game, and she has like this madhouse of horrors. It's a shame that it drives me nuts in a bad way. Oh man, I gotta do it again? Oh. You like how chaotic it is? I'm the opposite. I am not a fan of chaos. Well, it depends. Another season 1 fight, the Marionette. Marionette. It's okay. It's not bad. I imagine that when it first came out, it must have been pretty damn amazing. But I feel like, you know, suffers the same problem from power creep and all that. Are you judging by fun or rewards? I'm not judging by rewards at all. I'm not even paying attention about the loot and the rewards. I am judging solely on fun factor. Fun factor and theme? Marionette is S tier. It was legendary back then, and it's pretty decent today. Decent gold. I might nerf it to A, since they nerfed her cannons. It gets minus points for that, yeah. You know, if they kept the booba, it could have been an S tier boss. But no. ArenaNet says no to booba. I think it looks really damn cool. None of the mechanics annoy me. The real fight begins when you're done with the lane phase. The lane phase, however, is pretty cool too. You're building structures. You're essentially playing a tower defense game. You're building structures to slow down the horde, right? And you're trying to mow it down. And each lane has, you know, an important character from Dragon's Watch, or who would be Dragon's Watch. One has Taimi, one has Marjorie, one has Casimir, one has Logan, etc. With all that in mind, yeah, I think it's an A tier fight, actually. Low A. I would put it low A. Yeah, I forgot about Reba. Vine Wrath. I like it. I think it's pretty good. Definitely not below B. It's at least a B. What do you guys think? Reba gets hate, but it's a solid meta. I think it's pretty solid too. Why would it get hate? I kind of like that you go around in a circle trying to conquer bases. You go from one base to the next base, and then you have the lane phase. So you have that, and then you have the actual boss. Essentially, there's like 3 phases throughout the entire fight. I'd say a high B. The way you go about, you know, completing the events in the meta is really, really cool. But the actual mechanics of the fights, you know, aren't that special. I don't know, I'm having a lot of difficulty thinking about this. Maybe low A. I'm willing to settle for low A. B plus because nowhere near as good as a modern. Yeah, I agree with you. Which are A's. Yeah, you know what? You know what? Fluffy has a great point. Let me put it in B+, because there are definitely a lot of metas in the modern days that are just leave these metas in the dust. I'm gonna go with B+. Once again, you never saw the final boss mechanics die before they do them, like hiding behind honeycombs or standing on plants to avoid a boom. I did not know that. No, I never saw that. Where is the Verdant Brink? Yeah, Verdant Brink. S tier. Above Arc Basin. Yeah. S tier is... it's so good. Like, not only is the map, you know, perfect, but also the meta is perfect. Oh, it's excellent. Like, there... a lot of coordination is needed, but you don't need to be 100% coordinated with this fight. It's pretty damn simple. You just have enough people go to A, go to B, go to C, fighting the canopy bosses, and then eventually they converge somewhere, right? Either way, you have to fight, you know, all these bosses during the night meta. And you would think, you know, wow, this map is huge. How the hell am I gonna, you know, reach every boss fight? No, they have char helicopters. Thank you for the helicopters. They make, you know, traversing this meta, you know, so much easier without turning it into a nightmare. And some of these bosses are freaking incredible. Like that wyvern. I forget if it's the patriarch or the matriarch. The one where you have to egg bomb the boss or something, right? You basically you glide around, you take eggs, and then you sort of bombard it. Yeah, you egg bomb the papa. Oh, that's my favorite 5 out of all the canopy bosses. Dragon Stand. S tier. Yeah. Don't even need to think about it. Dragon Stand is freaking great. If you don't have the mastery, it's a, I would say it's an A. I'm giving DS an S tier. Heck with power creep ruining it. I didn't feel that. But maybe you're right. Maybe it was I was missing out on stuff. The first 2 times that I did it, I didn't have the mastery. So I was always left behind. But even when I was left behind, I still got to do some of the mechanics. I would have loved to see, you know, Mordramoth eating up the stages, the little islands. But I never got to see that. The spectacle alone is just so incredible. Absolutely amazing. I would put this, like, right between Arc Basin and Verdant Brink. I don't think it's better than Verdant Brink. Hableon? I don't even know.
The Naked Man.
Isn't the Naked Man included with the Bloodstone Maw? The only reason why Hableon is even in this tier list is because one of you suggested it. I don't even know if it deserves to be on the list. I feel like it shouldn't be, because that's barely a world boss. Bloodstone Maw? I can probably count the Bloodstone Maw, though. That actually has, you know... there it is. Bloodstone Maw. That one is where you go down, you know, that hole in Bloodstone Fen. It has layers. You fight these jade constructs, these rock elementals, one by one. You beat one, then go to the next layer. You beat one, you go to the next layer. You beat one, you go fight 2 of them. And then I think it ends with the Naked Man? Unless that's a separate meta. Same meta. Okay. Alright, so it's actually like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 boss fights. I think it's okay. I would say B. Just because it's cool, you know, to be gliding down layer by layer and then flying around, you know, from boss to boss. But it gets very repetitive, fighting the same bosses over and over and over again. I only prefer this boss fight above, you know, something like Golem Mark II because it's not annoying. At least Bloodstone Maw has, you know, some mechanics. Yeah, I'll just... personally, I feel it's a low B. Path of Fire, let's see, Crystal Oasis. No, Crystal Oasis didn't... oh, wait, nope, Casino Blitz. Alright, so here's the thing. I don't even know why y'all suggested the Casino Blitz. I don't think that's a world boss either. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it's really good. But that's not a world boss. Oh, Augury Rock. Augury Rock is in the Elon Riverlands, if I'm not mistaken. That's the one where you fight, you know, your copy. This is the Ascension meta. It's okay. It's alright. It's not bad. High B. Maybe above Shadow Behemoth. Just because it has, you know, that Guild Wars 1 nostalgia and lore behind it that makes it a little more cool. But it doesn't, you know, it's nothing amazing either. Ascension is currently F tier because it's broken? Wait, it's broken? The preamble is boring. Yeah, I do agree with you. The events at the beginning where it leads up to the actual Augury Rock is just, you're just following an NPC, beating up things, you're actually waiting. The real event isn't until later. You know what? Never mind. Yeah, Lobby. Below the Bloodstone Maw. Yeah, the Doubleganger chasing people was broken even when you did it. It's chaos and needs to be tricked into spawning. Oh. That sucks. So there's a chance that you may not even complete this meta. Well, I don't want to put it in the lowest tier possible. When it works, and when it does work, it's actually pretty solid. But very unfortunate that it's broken. I'll put it in C. I don't want to put it in a D, though. High C. I don't know what the Forge is. Did I do Forge? Oh, the Forge from West Vobby! Oh no, I forgot to put that on this list! Okay, alright, yeah, no, okay, I'll rate it. I don't have it on here. I'll have to update it later, but let's see, the Forge. Forge is pretty good. The mechanics are slightly messy. Alright, Hableon will be the Forge. You know what? High B. I'd say it's not as interesting as the Mordrum Vinewrath because I do love, you know, a world boss being the final goal after traversing half of the map. I think that's always fun. What's next? Twin Destroyers, right? Twin Destroyers. I don't think this is a remarkable fight. I would say is a high C tier fight. Like, maybe a little more interesting than the Golem Mark II. I am not a fan of Twin Destroyers. It's just, you know, smack and dodge. You dodge a couple of mechanics, but they're easily telegraphed. Yeah, it's okay. And another thing, it's annoying to even reach some of these Twin Destroyers. Unless you're, like, already above it. You're in a layer above the fight. Then you can just simply glide downward. But if you are in the middle of doing something somewhere else, and then you know, are waiting for the fight, then I guess you would have to spawn camp it so you're not easily annoyed. Because reaching it from any other place that is not above, you know, the level of the boss arenas can be very damn annoying. Once you have the North Waypoint, it's easy to get to them, yeah. Most people mistakenly use the highest one, but Mox Waypoint is the key. Maybe so. You're probably right. From my perspective as a new player, or not new anymore, but from the perspective of a new player, I would imagine that would be annoying the first few times doing it. Zohakan, the Djinn from Sandswept Isles.
Praise Yoko.
Joko, not Yoko. Jin should be a B, but it's really a C these days. I feel like it's a C. It's way too easy. I realize there are some mechanics, but I don't even notice them because maybe it's because I did it with 50 people. I don't. Yeah, it's unremarkable. It's not that great. High C though, because I do like the story behind the Jin. Let's talk about Iberu and Palawadon. This is the southeast meta in the domain of Istan. I think it's really good. Yeah, it's at least an A tier for me. Because you're in the city, and Palawadon City, trying to basically recapture it. And you're going all over the place fighting, you know, doing these little mini objectives. And one of which is, you know, sabotaging the ships in the coast. I never got to do that properly because it was bugged out. You remember, I launched myself onto the ship and then I phased through it and died. That was hilarious. I imagine that's a rare instance though. That was cool, and then it leads up to Iberu, that son of a bitch who will not freaking die. He just keeps coming back over and over again. And, I don't know, it just feels very satisfying to fight him and put him in his place. And he's voiced by freaking Goku. So yeah, he's at least an A tier for me. Either above Amala or above Triple Trouble. I'll put it above Amala for now. What about Thunderhead Keep? I don't think Thunderhead Keep is all that interesting. I think thematically is really cool. You're preparing, you know, for the fight with Kralkatorrik. I had trouble keeping up. People were running from location to location. So, I don't know if I did this meta properly myself. There's nothing, like, the only memorable thing about Thunderhead Keep are the NPCs. You know, Logan, Canuck, the Skrit, all the banter. If I was, you know, rating this solely on character banter, then this would be pretty high up. But the event itself is like, it's alright, whatever. I think it's more interesting than Zohakan though, so I'll put it like high C. Dragon Simulacrum. I almost forgot about this one. We're going back a little bit. Back to the Sandswept Isles. The Inquest Labs. Underneath Rada Primus. This is a random boss fight, right? You either get one of two possible bosses, or is it two bosses at the same time? There was no lead up. There were no events leading up to it. You just go straight to the boss fights, unless I missed out on some events. I don't think it's all that, you know, interesting either, but it's not bad. It's okay. I think it's interesting based on the fact that the Inquest, you know, are trying to create their own dragon minions. I think the theme alone is pretty cool. 2 random bosses out of 6. I would say high C. A little better than Thunderhead Keep, because those were actual boss fights. They felt more like actual boss fights than Thunderhead Keep felt like. No, even now that I think about it, I'm hesitating, you know, if I should keep Thunderhead Keep on there. Death Branded Shatterer. It's essentially the same fight, right? Core is 10 FPS. Season 4 is 5 FPS. They are not the same. Wait, what? Would have been S, but, you know, branded centaurs. Oh, yeah, that's very unfortunate about the branded centaurs. I think it's really cool that they brought it back, just like with a different skin. It's like, you know, comparing, like, think of the Shatterer as the Blue Eyes White Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! And then suddenly they bring it back. Now the Shatterer, the Blue Eyes White Dragon has become the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. I think, you know, that alone is really damn cool. I think it's slightly better, like a slight tiny upgrade from the Shatterer. I don't know about this FPS thing. They both feel the same to me. I have a decent computer, so I ran both the Shatterer and Death Branded Shatterer just fine. But they're essentially the same fight. And I especially like, you know, fighting it after doing the story. When I saw that big-ass head just poking through the hole in the palace when I was trying to save those villagers. That was a great moment. Season 4, again, oil flows. Does that even count? Was that really a world boss? Alright, well, if we're counting it, it's a low C. I guess it's better than the Karka Queen and these 4. It's like a mid-C. Mid-C tier boss. I found it cool that it got branded when that portal opened up and Kralkatorrik's like, hey. Boop. Now it's branded. Bye-bye. Change the mechanics to Deimos Oil and people might like it more. Except for Preach. Dragonfall. Dragonfall, Dragonfall. This breaks my heart, but it's a very disappointing fight. I would put it in C. You know what? Above Thunderhead Keep, but below the Dragon Simulacrum. A for loot? Sure, but I don't care about the loot. See, it's almost a D, but I'm able to keep up a little bit. The reason... You're just flying all over the place. You're popping pimples. That's what you're doing. You're just popping pimples. Such, one of the most epic, elder dragons in existence. And it devolves into a pimple-popping event. Like, this is right after episode 5 of season 4, by the way. When you're, like... You trap Krokatoric underneath a cavern. You gather all the pact and all the forces of Ilona and everything. It's like this grand epic going on. And then season 4, episode 6 happens. And then you get Dragonfall. I'm like, really? But technically it's not a broken fight. It's doable. It's not hard. It doesn't piss me off like the Tower of Nightmares does, so it'll stay in C tier. It's disappointing. That's all it is. Metal Legion, S tier. Metal Legion is amazing. I would probably put it above Dragonstan, but below Verdant Brink. And it's incredible that they managed to make it so good, since it's a meta event that only takes place in the concert area. Usually the best metas are the ones that take over like a very big portion of the map. Not this one. This one takes part of a very small part of the map. It's just the concert area. But there are so many damn activities, and it's like, it's blood pumping. It's adrenaline inducing. I don't know if that makes sense, but you understand what I mean, right? It's badass as hell, dude. Oh my god. I love this fight. It's great. No one can argue that it's below an S tier. And if you do, you're wrong. Your opinion's wrong. Let's go with the South Drizzlewood meta. The one where you fight, Vishen. I thought that was cool. I would put that in A. I don't know how high up in A, but that was fun. You fight all 4? Oh, my bad. You killed all of Ryland's homies. Oh, alright. I love that this is like, this little war. Like, the lead up is, you're conquering area by area. It's almost like playing Command and Conquer Generals or something. And then when you get to the final area where the bridge is at, then all hell breaks loose. You're fighting the sniper, you're fighting the tank, you're fighting the choppers. You're sometimes picking up the rocket launcher, and then you gotta, launch the rockets at the choppers. That feels great, by the way. I love that mechanic. That is so fun to do. The mechanics themselves are pretty damn great. I think this is a really good fight. I want to put it somewhere high up in the A. Above Triple Trouble, but maybe below Battle for Lion's Arch, because I love the Clockwork Knights that much. The tank lifted by a chopper is a little silly to me. Just like Command and Conquer. Have you played Command and Conquer? But I understand. I getcha. Alright, while we're in the Drizzlewood Coast, let's talk about the Frost Citadel. The one where you're joining Casimir and some others. You storm the Frost Citadel. You find the blood of Jormag being processed by Ryland's Char. You're doing some things in there. You're fighting a giant-ass tank. You're fighting several tanks, actually. And you're progressing through the level, and then finally, it's the Claw of Jormag. This is really good. I think it's a very, very good fight. I think it's incredible. I will put it in S tier, actually. Yeah, now that I think about it, I love this world boss. This is what the Claw of Jormag should have been, or it should be now. Citadel A for you? For me, it's a low S. There's so many phases throughout this entire event. And each and every phase is unique. I love the fact that you can, you're basically trying to blast one of the wings of the claw, and then in order to ground it, and then the most mechanically complex part comes in the final phase, where you're fighting it when it's grounded and then it's trying to blow you away. You gotta hide behind, you know, the ice pillars or the ice rocks in order to prevent yourself from being blown away too far. This is just so fun to move around in. Claw still tank and spank? Under the toe? No, I disagree. I don't think it's just tank and spank, because as I said, you know, you're doing several things, you know, throughout the fight. It's flying around, and then you have to you fight, you know, mobs of enemies while you're also trying to, you know, get the cannons going to bring it down. Drizzlewood Claw can't be cheated like Core. Yeah, it can't. At least not yet. But we devolved a new Claw, VB. Same thing. We avoid the blow and just stay behind his legs, spanking him. Really? I remember being blown back, unless I forgot, you know, that tactic. I still think it's great, though, because I'm thinking about this holistically. The Frost Citadel is more than just a Claw of Jormag. It's also, you know, storming the castle and all that. I'm gonna leave it in low S. I'm not gonna change my mind. I love this event. Drakkar, S tier. Drakkar is so freaking good, dude. Probably in between the Metal Legion and Dragon Stand. I would say it's mid S tier. You're going from one arena to the next arena. You see Drakkar swimming, quote unquote, through the ice. I don't know how you swim through ice, but apparently Drakkar can do it. Swimming through the ice, and then he pokes his head out. He is one of the most interesting looking bosses, just looking at the model. Thematically, it's amazing. Aesthetically, it's amazing. It feels epic as hell. The music is on point. The music feels really, like things are very urgent when you're, you know, fighting him. Drakkar is an ice shark. No, it is not. It is a dragon minion. Don't ruin it. I love this fight. One of the best world bosses in the game. Oh, I forgot about Storms of Winter. Do we count that? Is that a world boss level event? It's basically, the entire event is a horde mode. You're fighting off enemies, you're protecting things, you're trying to prevent yourself from getting cold, and then you're trying to chop off the legs off of this giant. I don't even know if I should count this. If I were to count it, it's a C tier fight, because, like, it's just horde mode. It's not pleasant to be playing over and over again because of the cold mechanic. I would put it, like, at least it's better than the core bosses. No, better than Twin Destroyers. Dragon Storm. It's okay. I think it's like a B tier fight. B for Bram, yeah. S tier, you get to kill Bram. I feel like this fight should have been more mechanically complex. Unfortunately, it isn't. It's very easy to dodge, you know, the mechanics. What sells this instance is the huge kaiju fight between Primordus and Jormag, and how the entire fight feels anime as hell. That's its saving grace. That it's so ridiculous in a good way, is why, you know, I don't bump it down to a C. But because it's a cool spectacle, it's like a high B or a low A for me. I'll give it like a high B for now. But what about Renyak and the Aetherblade Assault? Yeah, maybe it's a C tier fight. If it weren't for the fact that... Oh man. So this is one of those fights where my mind can be changed after the visual update that's coming soon to the game, where you can lower the visual effects of other players. If I am able to see the mechanics just fine, then that fight would be pretty good, I think. However, as it stands right now, it's an absolute mess. It's a visual nightmare. Yeah, I agree. The fight itself is great, but unfortunately it's just like, I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. So reluctantly, I have to give this like a high C. I don't want to give it a C though, but I feel like I have to. You miss Pinata? No, Pinata's not a world boss! That's why I'm not doing it! New Kaineng would have to be the Jade Behemoth. So we're gonna talk about the entire event, you know, as a whole, not just the Jade Behemoth. I I love the theme, the aesthetic. I love that you know, go throughout the entire city. Like, the entire city. You know, trying to quell the void corrupted robots and the Brotherhood and the Purists and all that. It's all hell has broken loose. So you're trying to like get things back in order, and then it leads to the actual boss fight. The boss itself isn't mechanically complex. It's okay. Is not super interesting. I think it was fun to do. I would give it a high B. I would say it's better than Dragonstorm. But you know what? For the moment, I'm just gonna leave it in high B. Boss is okay. Pre-event is too long. Yeah, it does take a little too long. It takes a while. And it's very annoying that they, you know, have to yell out, you know, the voice lines throughout the entire zone. So here I am, and I could be just minding my own business, maybe doing the story. And then I'm hearing Yao shouting across the walls of the city, while I'm over outside the walls, you know, checking out old Kaineng. I'm like, really?
It's how anime characters do conversation.
No, that's Dragon Ball. That's Dragon Ball Z. And maybe Bleach. And maybe Naruto. And maybe... Okay, I get your point. You know what I mean. God's Vengeance. Again, it's a messy fight. It's a very messy fight. I would say it's like high C. It's a little better than Renyak, I think. Now, I want to love this fight. I really do. And this might be another fight where I change my mind on the ranking once they update the visual effects. But until then, this is a visual nightmare, just like Renyak. I can't see what I'm, you know, doing. There are so much shit is being flown around. It's like playing freaking Vampire Survivors. You have to dodge the little balls, you have to dodge all the mechanics, and there are freaking Jade bots pulling you. That's damn annoying. I still don't know how to prevent that. They're like pulling you, yanking you away from the damn computer. Is, oh, the Aspenwood event. Yeah, I want to like this fight because I think it's really cool, but unfortunately, it's just, my brain shuts off with the amount of visual information that's on the screen. It's crazy. Prototype XJ1. So, again.
S for spectacle. C for copy-paste Guadim.
Don't ruin this boss fight for me. I actually love this fight. But for the same reasons as God's Vengeance and Renyak, again, it's a visual nightmare, and I wasn't able to see half the mechanics. I wasn't able to interpret some of them. With that said, though, I don't want to give it a C tier because they really did try to make an interesting boss fight. And they did try to direct the players around. I saw the arrows. Like, maybe for some people that would be immersion breaking, but for people like me who have tunnel vision, I really appreciate them, you know, have those arrows that tell you, hey, you gotta go this way now. Go that way. Find that helpful. Maybe high B. You know what? High B for now. But later down the line, when they update the game, it could be better. The last one. Dragon's End. Dragon's End. Well, obviously, this is an S tier fight. Now, the question is it low S, mid S, high S? Yeah, I did Dragon's End for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I love it. It's amazing. Kind of like, this is a better version of Dragon's Stand now that I think about it. Because it's another, you know, map that is built around the meta. However, the map is also designed to be explored. Unlike Dragon's Stand. There's just so much going on. You have several lanes, you have several bosses, and then it all converges into one epic grand finale. It's so good. I would love to keep talking about this, but I'm losing my breath because I've been talking for 2 hours straight. I am so sorry that I've been talking for more than 2 hours, you guys. Like, and we still haven't even begun playing the game. I thought this was gonna take like half an hour on tops. You know what? Yeah. I think Dragon's Den is the best world boss / meta event of all time. I love this. This entire event. This fight gave me goosebumps. It gave me chills. The music is phenomenal too. No right for Pinata. The Pinata's not a world boss. It's not even a fight. Look, fine. It's a C tier fight. There you go. You're happy? Anyway, yeah, Dragon's Den is phenomenal. I love it. I forgot if all the other Elder Dragons show up in the meta. This is the new standard for world boss, big, giant world boss meta events. I don't know if they'll be able to top this off. Next tier list should be fishing spots. No! Actually, the next tier list is going to be maps. Oh my god, that's going to take a lot longer than the world bosses, isn't it? Because there's... Oh my god. It took me 2 hours to do this. Imagine doing the maps. Anyway, there you go. That's everything that I consider a world boss in this game and how I rank things. Now that I have everything ranked, it's interesting to put all things to perspective. The only fights that I truly hate is Modnir because centaurs, but Tower of Nightmares. Tower of Nightmares was the only large-scale event that genuinely made me frustrated. That was fun. That was good. All right, let's play the game. The GeoGuessr thing, let's leave that for another day because I've been talking way too damn much about world bosses. Maybe it could be a good idea to do maps as a separate tier list for core maps and then expansion maps. The quality of maps would be more balanced that way, and also wouldn't take you the whole stream to finish. That's a good idea. I might do that.